Donald and Douglas are Scottish twin engines. They work hard and love pulling each other's wheels. They work well together most of the time. Like sometimes when there is a really long train, they will work together and double-head it. One day, the twins were double-heading a long train that needed to be shipped out by tea time. They puffed together through the countryside. Donald was ahead and felt as though Douglas wasn't helping much. "Dougie, pull harder! You're giving me all the work!" he puffed. Douglas had been pulling as hard as he could and was red in the face. "If you don't want me, then pull this train by yourself," puffed Douglas. The twins argued until they reached the docks. Weeks had passed until one day Sir Topham Hatt met the two engines at the yard. "Donald and Douglas, I need your help," he asked. "What do you need?" they asked. "Henry is ill today and was supposed to take a freight train to the other side of the railway. Will you two take it in his place?" The twins began to argue. "Rubbish," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You two need to learn to get along, even if it means pulling this train. Now go on your way and be really useful." "Yes, sir," the twins moped. "Splendid," smiled the controller, and he drove away to go to a very important meeting. The twins puffed to Knapford Station. They argued to their drivers and firemen. "Let's have a race," suggested Donald's fireman. They discussed it with the station master and the signalman. They were able to get both lines cleared, and all the signals were green. The twins were coupled to their trains, ready to race. The Knapford station master held two green flags in his hands. "You will both race around the island with your goods trains to Wellsworth Station. You will be uncoupled from your trains there, and you will have to race alone without any extra weight on you to Kurt Ronan Station on the other side of the railway. Are you ready?" The twins agreed. "All right then. On your mark. Get set. Go!" he shouted and waved the flags. The twins were off with a huff. They raced like the wind side by side. The twins were having fun with this race. Donald had a short lead, and then Douglas. But for most of the way, they were both equally matched. "Steady, boys!" shouted the driver, but the engines continued on their way. Edward and Toby were waiting on a siding when the twins rushed past. "Oh my," said Toby. "Those two are at it again," laughed Edward. Douglas began to take the lead. "We need to stop for coal and water," said his driver. So at the next junction he halted and filled up his tanks. Donald whooshed by. "You need to fill up on coal and water," shouted Douglas. "No need," replied Donald, and he hurried away. "He'll be in trouble," thought Douglas. Soon he was filled up, and he began on his way again. He finally arrived at Wellsworth and saw that Donald was already gone, and only his train was left behind. "Oh no," said Douglas. He was quickly uncoupled. He took a different route than Donald. He went past the narrow gauge engines. The little engines were surprised to see him rush by. Soon Douglas saw a crowd of people at the platform cheering for him. Douglas was so happy that he had won. They cheered and took pictures with him. Donald was enjoying himself. Once the fun was over, they waited and waited. But Donald didn't come. The station master came out to talk to Douglas. "Donald ran out of steam on his way here," said the station master. "Go back and fetch him and take him to the yard." "That knuckle nuisance," huffed Douglas. "But I can't leave him behind. He's gonna finish this race." And Douglas backed down the line. He eventually found Donald alone on the tracks. He backed up to him. "Come on, the race is still going," said Douglas. "What's the point?" asked Donald, all discouraged. "Because, brother, you deserve to finish the race too," said Douglas. So he buffered up and was coupled up to him. and pulled him all the way back to Kirk Ronan Station. The crowd cheered for the Scottish twins as they pulled in to finish the race. "Thank you," puffed Donald. "No," said Douglas. "Thanks for being my brother. I love you." "I love you too," said Donald. The crowd awed and cheered for the twins and their twin races. Next time on Thomas and Friends. Thomas is too busy being cheeky and boasting to the other engines about something he heard wrong. Will he lose his friends? Find out next time in Pride of Sodor.